Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this session of Spokane Public Schools Keep Learning series for literacy. Today's lesson is for all our first graders out there, and any child who is interested is welcome to join us. My name is Katie Jensen, and I'm a reading interventionist and literacy coach at Stevens Elementary in Spokane Schools, and I will be your teacher for this lesson. I'm so glad you're participating with me today. If you didn't see our previous lesson, you can find it on the KSPS website. You can still tune in to today's lesson if you haven't seen any of our others. Today, we will be learning about cause and effect. For today's lesson, you will need a writing utensil and a piece of paper. I'll give you a few moments to gather your supplies. Let's get started. During this reading of Little Rabbit's Tale, we are going to review cause and effect. When we read Muncha, 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 we learned that cause happens first. It's the reason why something else happens. The effect is what happens next. As we read today, we want to ask ourselves, what happened and why? Let's practice with a sentence about our story. Little Rabbit was scared because he thought the sky was falling. So the what? What was he feeling? Scared. That's our effect. The cause is why. Why was he feeling scared? He thought the sky was falling. Let's go ahead and get started with our book and look for cause and effect as we read. Little Rabbit's Tale by Wong Herbert Yee, illustrated by Richard Bernal. The author writes, something hits Little Rabbit. We know that is what happens. Do you know why the apple fell from the apple tree? What caused the apple to fall? It's written in the text. The wind starts to blow. This happens first. This causes the apple to fall from the apple tree. The effect of the wind blowing is that the apple falls from the apple tree and hits Little Rabbit. Now that we know what caused the apple to fall, can you tell me what caused Little Rabbit to wake up? Getting hit by the apple. Oh no, the sky is falling, yells Little Rabbit. I've got to try to tell everyone. Little Rabbit hops off to find Goose. Goose sits in his rowboat. The tip of his rod starts to twitch. Now, using an inference of what you know about fishing, what do you think is causing his rod to twitch? You're right, the effect is probably that a fish is biting at his line. There's no time to fish, yells Little Rabbit. The sky is falling. Let's go, Little Rabbit. We need to go tell Beaver. Goose and Little Rabbit use the rowboat. They go up the stream. So in this picture, we see Little Rabbit and Goose jumping into a boat and going up the stream. What causes them to do that? They decide that they need to go tell Beaver. So that would be the effect. It causes them to go up the stream. Goose peeks inside. Beaver is eating a snack. There's no time to eat, says Goose. Let's go. The sky is falling. Oh my, says Beaver. We need to go tell Turtle. Beaver, Goose, and Little Rabbit dash up the hill. Turtle sleeps under a log. Tap, tap. Beaver taps on Turtle's shell. Turtle peeks out. There's no time to sleep, says Beaver. Let's go. The sky is falling. In this page, Turtle peeks out. What causes Turtle to peek out of his shell? Beaver is tapping on his shell. So Turtle peeking out would be the effect. And then what causes Turtle to do that is Beaver tapping on his shell. Oh no, yells Turtle. What can we do? Let's run back home, says Little Rabbit. I want to tell my mother. Turtle, Beaver, Goose, and Little Rabbit run fast. They hop over the log, dash down the hill, and jump into Goose's rowboat. Then they go as fast as they can down the stream. Little Rabbit hops in the door. Mother, the sky is falling. Who told you such a thing? Asks Mother Rabbit. Beaver told me, says Turtle. Goose told me, says Beaver. Little Rabbit told me, says Goose. Well, let's just go outside and look at the sky, says Mother Rabbit. What do the characters do next? The characters decide to go outside and look at the sky. What caused them to go outside and look at the sky? Little Rabbit's mother told them to. She says, well, let's just go outside and look at the sky. Just then, the wind starts to blow. The branches shift in the wind. Thump! Something hits Little Rabbit. Another apple falls from the apple tree. Did the same thing or something different cause this to happen? It looks like it was the same. The author wrote, the wind starts to blow. Since Little Rabbit is not alone when it happens this time, they can all agree that the cause is that the wind blew the apple from the tree, and not that the sky is falling. Oh no, the sky is falling, yells Little Rabbit. The sky is not falling, laughs Mother Rabbit. An apple just fell from the apple tree. I didn't get to catch a fish, says Goose. I didn't get to eat my snack, says Beaver. I didn't get to sleep, says Turtle. So all these characters are now feeling sad. What caused them to feel sad? Little Rabbit ran around telling everyone that the sky was falling when it actually wasn't. And that causes Goose to not catch his fish, Beaver to not be able to eat his snack, and Turtle to not be able to sleep. I've got a plan, says Little Rabbit. Can my friends come eat with us? Yes, says Mother Rabbit. Go wash your hands while I get more plates. Hooray! Little Rabbit has a nice meal with his friends. After that, they all have homemade apple treats. The friends lived happily ever after. Little Rabbit reminds me of another character. Do you remember how Toad didn't understand gardens in our story, The Garden? He thought that singing and reading to his seeds would make them grow. In this story, I don't think Little Rabbit really understands the sky. He thinks that pieces of the sky can fall and hit us on the head. Have you ever made a mistake like Little Rabbit did? It may not have been as silly as thinking that the sky was falling, but I know that everyone at one point in their life makes mistakes. Today, for your assignment, you're going to write a narrative story about a time that you made a mistake. When we write a narrative story, we need to make sure we have a couple of key components. A narrative story should have a topic sentence. This tells us about what's going to be happening in the story. In the middle, we need those detailed sentences that tell us what happened in order, who's in our story, and when and where this is happening. then at the end of a narrative, we need some type of closure or ending. So it could be a solution to your problem. So you make a mistake. How did you fix it? In Little Rabbit's Tale, he made the mistake of thinking the sky was falling and taking his friends away from all the activities that they wanted to be doing. And so to solve his problem, at the end of the story, he had them all come over for dinner to help them feel better. That was the ending to his story. Your narrative should also have an ending or a sense of closure. To get started with our narrative writing, the first thing we need to do as writers is make a plan. In order to make a plan, I need to think about what I'm going to write about. We were being asked to write about a mistake that we've made. So I thought a little bit about that. And one thing that I thought of was when I was younger and I borrowed a stuffed animal cat from my friend and I accidentally lost it. And I ended up buying her a new one. But my topic sentence needs to tell me what all the other sentences are going to be about. So my first sentence, and I plan it out before I write it down. I have to be able to say my sentence. So my first sentence is going to say, one summer day, I lost my friend's stuffed animal. So when I start my writing, I need to start with an indent, which means the first line is pushed in. So one summer day. I know how to spell the word one. It's a sight word. One, I start with a capital letter because it's the beginning of my sentence. One summer, that's a long word. And I know that ending at the end of a word is an ER. Then what good writers do is they always go back and reread. One summer day. Day, I know how to spell that word. One summer day, that gets a capital letter, I lost. Let's sound that one out. Lost. One summer day, I lost my, that's a sight word we should know. M-Y. One summer day, I lost my friends. That's a tricky one. We're going to try our best. I'm going to hear a blend at the beginning. My friends. One summer day, I lost my friends. It sounds like a t at the end. Stuffed. But it's actually that ED ending. Stuffed animal. Ooh, that's a big word. Let's go ahead and tap it out. Animal. I know that word. Oh, I know that letter. Then the last chunk. Animal. One summer day, I lost my friend's stuffed animal. Then I end with punctuation. So there's my topic sentence. Now I need to go on to my detail sentences that say what happened next and give a little more detail to what happened in my story. So I'm going to start with some transition words so that my story has a beginning, middle, and end. So first, I'm planning out my first sentence before I write. First, my friend let me borrow her toy. So first, capital letter, and then after a transition word, we put a comma. First, my friend let me borrow. Another big word. Let's tap it out. Borrow. That's hard. Borrow. I hear an O.
You can always ask someone for help on these big ones, but I'm going to just sound it out as best as I can. First, my friend let me borrow her. I'm going to put toy. Oi, chunk, O-Y. Then I'm going to write what happened next. Next. You know what, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I would like to put the word then. That's why we have erasers on our pencils, because when we make mistakes or we change our minds, we can erase it. Then I lost it. Oh my goodness. I don't even know where it went, guys. Then I lost it. I don't even remember where I lost it. If I did, I'd put that in my story so my reader had all the details. Then I'm going to write last what happened, and then at the very end of my story, I need to make sure that I put an ending. So do you remember what my solution was? I bought her a new stuffed animal to make up for the fact that I lost her stuffed animal. I'm not going to finish my whole story for you guys because I want to make sure you have time to get started on yours. Make sure that just like I was doing, that you're starting with a capital. I have spaces between my words, ending punctuation. I should have those sight words like my or me or it. Those should be spelt correctly. Those are my first grade sight words. Some of them are even kindergarten sight words. And then for bigger words like stuffed, borrow, animal, we're going to use a strategy to try and figure out how those are spelled. So you can sound them out, you can chunk it out and tap it. It is your choice, but you're going to try your best. Then of course, when I'm all done, I'm going to reread it and make sure it makes sense.
I have enjoyed doing some literacy learning with you today. Thank you for joining me as you keep learning from home. I look forward to seeing you again for our next lesson.